Health and Fitness with David Hollywood.
With DS Sports. Is your sports club ready for a Christmas kit upgrade? Contact DS Sports. dssports.ie.
Hello, welcome. It's time for another journey through your community to find the people who are leading us to a healthier life. Let's see what we've got coming up. The Grand Canal Park Run in Tullamore celebrating its 3rd anniversary this weekend. It's also celebrating its return after a brief hiatus. One of the original organisers and volunteers will be with us shortly. Alone released their annual report for 2023 a couple of weeks ago. We're drilling into some of the data this week to see what we can learn. You'll hear about the Father Ted tribute that's raising funds for Down Syndrome Offaly. And you'll meet the General Manager of the Athlone Regional Sports Centre, who's won a Lifetime Achievement Award for his work with Ireland Active. Now, as the expression goes, you don't know what you've got until it's gone. And I think a lot of people who are attending the Grand Canal Park Run in Tullamore over the course of the last number of months might be able to relate to that, because up until recently, the park run wasn't being held on the Grand Canal and people had to go to further afield for it. Well, it's time to celebrate, because it's returning to the Grand Canal in Tullamore this weekend. Not only that, but it is celebrating its 3rd anniversary. I'm very glad to say that a long-standing volunteer, one of the original volunteers for the park run in Tullamore, Deirdre Oman, has joined us in studio on Health and Fitness this evening to celebrate it ultimately. Deirdre, the 3rd anniversary, I imagine these anniversaries aren't long in coming around, quicker and quicker every year.
Absolutely. Thank you, David, for inviting us. We look forward to our coming back on our 3rd anniversary. 3 years, it flies around, and our park run is getting more popular as the months go by. As we get word out there, the benefits of the park run and how wonderfully accessible the Grand Canal Park Run is in Tullamore to the wider community.
And it looks like, at the moment anyway, we've got unseasonably warm weather, so it might be a nice day to take a jaunt down the canal on Saturday morning.
Absolutely, David. So, as you know, the Park Run is an international organisation, and it has been 10 years in Tullamore. It's 20 years in existence, and Tullamore is 3 years celebrating our 3rd anniversary. And what we do is it's a 5K timed run. It's for runners, joggers, walkers, people who want to walk the dog. We're accessible, so we're open to buggies and wheelchairs. We openly invite people who just want to get in and meet the community. It's a wonderful organisation for coming and meeting your community, and in part of that is not only can you participate, you can volunteer in many of the roles that allow you to get to meet your neighbours in a nice, safe environment and an open, friendly environment.
Let's dwell on the volunteer question just for a second, because I think it is important when we talk about this and we talk about what people can get out of volunteerism. There's this enormous sense of personal well-being after you actually give up your time to help and facilitate other people's enjoyment. But on the other side of the coin as well, for the likes of yourself and Gearóid and Sandra and everyone who's been involved in volunteering with the Grand Canal Park Run in Tullamore for so long, when other people can step up and volunteer, it means the absolute world to the likes of you guys who come in every weekend and make this happen.
Yeah, the volunteers are a really, really important part of the organisation and Park Run, and it's open to everybody. From about 16 years up, we get some Park Run volunteers from the Goshka, from the Sacred Heart School. So there's a role there for everyone, but it allows you meet your community, your neighbours, on that. You don't have to volunteer every week. If you can volunteer once every 6 or 8 weeks, we need a small number of volunteers. Only about 8 every week is all we need because of the design of our actual run. So there's something there for everyone. You don't have to volunteer on your own. You can volunteer with another person. And we also do, probably the enjoyable part of it, is we go for the important cup of coffee afterwards, and it allows you to sit down and have a chat and broaden your friendship base in the community, which is very important.
Tell us about tomorrow specifically. It's the 3rd anniversary, so it will have a bit more of a celebratory feel tomorrow morning.
Absolutely. It's great to be back, and it's great to be back on our third birthday. On that, we're expecting a big group on that, and we've put a lot of work in behind in actually getting some new equipment, ordering the cake, which is very important.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and we just are trying to make it into kind of a celebratory element. We have pacers coming tomorrow, so anyone who wants to come and do a time and maybe aim at a time. We have 4 different pacers, and we also have our park walkers, who are really important for people who don't feel they can run. They can come and walk and have a chat with someone. They'll never be left behind. We have our tail walker, whose job is to make sure everyone is okay and finishes. And there's no rush, David, and that's what's really important. You'll have the person who will be able to run it in 19 or 20 minutes, but you also have the person who will take the hour and 10 minutes in walking. And they're as welcome to come and open to come as the fast runner.
Yeah, it's the beauty of the park run is that speed isn't what it's there for. It's there for whatever you need to get out of it, and you can run it as fast as you want, and as you say, as leisurely as you want. Deirdre, tell us roughly or specifically, how many of these park runs have you volunteered at?
Well, tomorrow will be actually my 107th volunteer. I was the volunteer coordinator for a year. So every time you volunteer at a park run, you get a credit. And if you run, you get a separate credit. So I've 75, coming up on my 75th park run participant, and 107 individual weeks of volunteering. I love it. It's great. It's a fabulous way. We lived outside town for a bit. We moved into town and we went down to the very first park run. And from then, I haven't turned back. And I've met a load of lovely people who have the same commitment and view on our community. And we're really, really lucky to have a beautiful canal available to us for our park run. If you haven't been on social media, David, last week we at 9:30 on the Saturday, we actually met with Tullamore Tidy Towns, and we've planted daffodils along the front of the canal to try and enhance what you meet on your park run next spring. A nice two rows of daffodils either side of the canal at the start of the park run. So it's all about community.
That's really exciting as well, based on your commitment to this, being able to find new ways of building up your own excitement about it. So, with those daffodils planted now, you've got something really to look forward to and see how it adds to the overall atmosphere of the park run in the new year.
Absolutely. Over the last 3 years, we've been very lucky to work with Offaly Development and the Mental Health Association in Tullamore, and they have kind of sponsored our tea and coffee and the coffee van that has come down occasionally to us on special occasions, and it's really, really important that we promote the benefits of getting outside and exercise for our mental health. And we're really lucky to have both of those organisations who support us in our park run and get out there, enjoy the fresh air. That's the best we can do.
Can't say fairer than that. It would be remiss of me not to revisit the whole point or issue that I mentioned at the top of the show, is that the park run didn't take place in the Grand Canal for a while. That must have been really hard for the likes of yourself, because it's a fixture of your Saturday morning.
It is a fixture, and anyone who knows myself and Garode will know that we have the Irish Wolfhound, and he's a big feature on the park run and in the photographs. But we enjoy it. And we travelled, we did some of the park run tourism, so we went off and we did a couple of different, and we're very grateful to the other park runs in Mullingar, Athlone, Mount Lucas, that allowed us. We went off and did them, and they opened us with open arms. And at the end of the day, it was outside of our control. There was a small insurance issue. We couldn't do anything. It was up to National Park Run and Waterways. But it's been resolved now, and we're looking forward to getting back out there and welcoming everyone on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to leave it. But aside from expressing gratitude on behalf of anyone who uses the park run to the likes of yourselves and the volunteers. There was obviously a few people that helped get this park run back up and running from the sticky situation it was in to the point at which you do get to celebrate the 3rd anniversary tomorrow.
Absolutely. We have to thank Tony McCormack and Senator Pippa Hackett. We want to thank Irish Waterways as well, and our own committee who worked really hard in trying to get this across the line, and National Park Run Ireland, which everyone contributed in, worked hard and didn't want to give up. We didn't want to turn around and say, no, we can't get this across the line in Tullamore, because it's too important of an organisation to the community, and we've got it across the line now. We'd also like to thank Flynn's, who are sponsoring the cake tomorrow. So come down, join us for a cup of tea or coffee and a slice of cake, and celebrate with us tomorrow.
Anyone who knows Flynn's Bakery will know that will be a particular treat. Deirdre, I would like to thank you for coming in to us, congratulate you for the anniversary and all the time that you guys have put into the park run in Tullamore on the Grand Canal, and thanks again for coming in to talk to us on the show.
Thank you very much, David.
Next, we're talking about older people and how we can age with happiness.
Health and fitness.
With DS Sports. Is your sports club ready for a Christmas kit upgrade? Contact DS Sports at 085 871 5311 or info@dsports.ie. DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Your success, our priority. Let's grow together.
Midlands 103.
Ireland has a rapidly increasing ageing population. At the last census, the proportion of the Irish population aged 65 or over was 15%, or just over 15%. That's an increase of 21% of the people aged 65 or over since Census Night 2016. So what we have is a rapidly changing picture in terms of our demographics. And what that means, obviously, is that the consequences of how we live and how we thrive in our health and everything else will be changing, and the requirements to help us along that path will be changing. I'm very glad to say on Health and Fitness this evening, we're turning our attention to Alone's 2023 annual report that they've released recently, an important document put out by an important charity who are there obviously to service and support older people living in this country. Frank Dillon is the head of communications with Alone. Frank, thanks very much for joining us on the programme.
Good evening, David. Good evening to your listeners. Thanks for having me on.
Not at all. As a preface there, our obligations to the population as it gets older will have to change so that we are all supported. The picture's rapidly changing as well. I imagine people working in Alone are very cognizant of this, more so than the rest of the population. It must give you guys a drive and a determination to put forward your agenda as best you can.
Absolutely, David. I mean, our mission is to support people to age at home and to improve their health and well-being around that. And that's very much what leads us. And as you rightly point out, our population is aging. I suppose it's important to point out that, no two 70-year-olds age the same. And while one might be out doing 5Ks and park runs, one might be at home with disabilities. And it's sort of in that we find people come to us just looking for support. And it can be anything from a small amount of support, a brief intervention, as we might say, to a longer support plan that we will look to deliver to help them and encourage them to age at home.
Frank, in that respect, actually, interventions for people who need help, like, we can't overestimate just how much people do appreciate the help when they get it. It's a fundamental aspect of growing older, is knowing that somewhere out there there's someone who's willing to support.
I think that's it. And we sort of, through the fractures of life, some people end up, they might end up living alone, and sometimes having, a problem shared is a problem halved, and just having someone to be able to call and just say, I have a bit of a query on this, whether it's a fuel allowance application or whether it's as complex as a housing adaptation. And that's really what Alone is there for. And we're lucky to have an army of volunteers, over 2,000 in the Greater Midlands area, supporting people through our support and befriending intervention, which is, it's about befriending somebody, calling into them once a week, visiting them, or supporting them on the telephone with a regular phone call to keep company, because again, it is that area of, you know, you can age well at home if you have a connection to your community, if you have a connection to society.
Yeah, tell us the annual report for Alone that has just been released, looking back over 23. This is your 7th or 8th annual report, I think, of this nature. Talk us through what the objectives were through the year and what the assessment of 2023 was like from Alone's perspective.
Well, it was another year where we supported more people than we did previously. We supported over 38,000 older people to age at home. And we've seen, you know, as an organisation, we've been growing to meet the rising demand of older people aging at home. And as I say, a support can be anything from a brief intervention to a more complex one. But I suppose the greatest achievement of last year was that we were able to deliver 86% of the supports that people came to us for, and 78% of those within 3 weeks. So it's nice to, you know, to be able to offer support, to deliver it, and the relationship, as I say, can end there or it can continue. But it's in that practical support area that our volunteers and staff deliver for older people to age at home.
What needs to happen in the future so that you can drive that number closer to 100%?
I think we need to see, I suppose, with certain areas, 50% of the supports that we offer, we deliver through partners. And what's good about this report and what we've seen is, as part of the whole Sláinte Care programme and the shift away from acute care, hospital acute care, into the community, we're seeing more and more resources the HSE are delivering in the community, and we just need to see that continued investment in community specialist teams, community, just the ability to receive your healthcare in the community, where it's easier to heal at home, it's easier to recover at home, and of course we'll still need acute hospitals, but the longer and more care that can be delivered in the community is going to be, I suppose, what we're hoping for the future.
And it's worth underlining as well that every cent invested in community care actually alleviates pressure on acute care in a lot of respects, or in a lot of instances, which ultimately frees up more resources all over the place. It's very much a virtuous circle when you get into this sort of investment perspective. Absolutely.
And you know, the HSE talk about, you know, reducing hospital admissions and getting people discharged quicker. And very much Alone is, you know, will be part of in that supporting area where we might do assessments of people in hospital and be able to deliver supports to get them home quicker, whether it's around, you know, practical things like handrails and ramps, or plugging into home care and getting the right home care, the right packages delivered for people as has been prescribed for them in the hospital, so they can get out and start the healing and recovery at home.
Talk to me about the importance of your volunteer infrastructure and network, because obviously people who commit their personal time to doing the work that Alone does, that's a huge constituent part of you guys being able to do what you do. What's the volunteers' experience if they are listening this evening, or rather if anyone listening this evening feels that they actually want to get involved and help out with Alone? Talk us through the pathway, how you find a place for them to be of assistance, how they're prepared, and ultimately how they tend to feed back to you guys about their experience.
Yeah, no, thanks, David. I suppose a volunteer's journey can start by just seeking out more information. What's involved? What's it all about? And we have plenty of that information on alone.ie/volunteer. And you can find that. But if someone's looking, you can make a phone call too. You can give us a call and just talk through it. But it is very much, we always say that the volunteering, it helps two people, because I don't think there's any volunteers that have worked with Alone currently or in the past who say they haven't found it a very rewarding way to spend their time. So we call it support and befriending, because people will go in, they will, if it's a visitation support, they will regularly meet the older person. We match them We try and match them along similar interests or similar localities. And we also will train and vet volunteers. So we'll give them initial training. We always have a suite of training. We have a quality standard for our volunteer program, and we're quite unique in that. And the training and the support is very much part of that. We have a volunteer assistance program for anyone who, requires further assistance. That's a third-party provision. We also have an app that people can go in, do the visit, and if they feel the older person might need a bit more support from our staff, they just log it on the app, and then our staff will get in touch and will, look to either conduct a detailed assessment or just conduct a brief assessment and deliver the support that's required.
Very good. And just going through the report here, I see 9 out of 10 or 90% of volunteers said that they felt prepared to start their role after that initial training, and 95% of them reported that they benefit from being an Alone volunteer. And I suppose we can't quantify it, but fantastic life skills can be developed through volunteering with Alone. Almost the younger you are as well, the more you're going to benefit from gaining the kind of perspectives you get from being involved in the work that Alone does.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the intergenerational work, as you pointed, is just, we get such great rewarding evidence about it. People talk about and especially in rural settings, where you get people from different townlands and they're exchanging and going through the history of whether it's the local sporting club or the local, all the local history that gets captured and passed from generation to generation. And all that can happen over a chat where, sometimes the volunteers, they wonder, am I doing any good? And then on the other side, we get nothing but older people saying, wow, I would be lost without my weekly contact, without my conversation. And it can go further, it can be about plugging older people into the community networks and the resources that are already there, whether it's a trip down to the shops during the day or a cafe or just getting out and about. It really does improve the outcomes for everyone.
Frank, as we reach the end of our conversation, there may well be people listening this evening who need to reach out to Alone, who want to, or even those who are supporting older people who know that Alone could be there to help and to do something for them. And as I said, there's obviously people who could be listening that may want to volunteer with Alone. So talk us through how they might be able to reach out to the charity.
David, thanks very much. Yeah, no, throughout the Midlands, we run a national number because it just makes it easier for us to then field inquiries down to local staff and for local issues. So it's a national number. It's 0818 222 024. That's 0818 222 024 to ask a question, to refer for self-referral or just to ask questions for family members or anything like that, as you point out.
A final point, Frank, is one I want to finish on from your report that I think is worth signing off on this evening. The first goal of Alone's National Positive Ageing Strategy is to remove barriers to participation. So what we're talking about here is having older people being active parts of our society and our community, whilst there's an emotional reward for that, ultimately there's a life-extending reward for that as well. People are healthier the more connected they are.
Absolutely, and I think that's it's a hard and simple fact. And Tilda produced a report recently that says loneliness kills, and stronger communities, stronger networks are how we cure that and how we enhance that, and how we all grow all better together when we're connected. It's in all these blue zones and all that research. The more connections you have, the more sense of being plugged into a community, the stronger and more powerful and increased well-being comes from all that. So yeah, no, you're right, David. Thank you.
Frank Dillon, Head of Communications with Alone, thanks for joining us on the programme.
Thanks a lot, David.
You know the one in Father Ted about the raffle and the car with the dent? We revisit that joyful episode in the name of Offaly Down Syndrome next.
Health and fitness
with DS Sports. Is your sports club ready for a Christmas kit upgrade? Contact DS Sports at 085 871 5311 or info@dssports.ie. DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Your success, our priority. Let's grow together.
Midlands 103.
Ireland Active, who we did have on health and fitness in the run-up to the budget, listening to the issues that they were campaigning for that fitness, health and leisure sector in Ireland. They have dished out some awards. These are the National Quality Standard Awards, and one of these special recognition awards was presented to Liam Cunningham, who is the General Manager of the Athlone Regional Sports Centre and has been a long-time board member with Ireland Active. He joins us on Health and Fitness this evening. Liam, congratulations on the recognition and your time with Ireland Active. Thanks very much for joining us on the programme.
No problem. Delighted to be on, David.
Your time with Ireland Active, campaigning for the interests of the sector. Naturally, on one side, it is a lobby group, but I suppose from someone who is working in the health and fitness sector, there's a great motivation there, probably considering what you would perceive to be the overall good that the industry and the sector does try to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about getting more people more active more often. That's our tagline, and it's all about, I suppose, increasing physical activity for everybody. So I've been on the board, thankfully, for the 12 years. My time is now up. I've served as an officer on the board as well. But we're the trade body, for those that wouldn't know Ireland Active, we're the trade body for the health, fitness and leisure industry, based in Sport Ireland campus there in Blanchardstown in Dublin. It's been we've had the challenges over the 12 years, definitely. The standards are very important across the sector. So for that, anybody goes into a facility, that they recognise if they have the National Quality Standard award as a business. That's important because it's a standard. If you go into those facilities, they'd have the best of standards in terms of customer service, in terms of hygiene, etc., etc. So it's and also from an environmental point of view as well. I suppose the toughest part of the 12 years was probably during the COVID times, as our industry was probably hit the hardest. We were closed for 10 months. And then there was a lot of challenges when we did reopen. So that was tough. But look, we've very good affiliation now with the government. Keeping the VAT rate at 9% was very important for our industry. But also then being able to, the various energy challenges we've now had in the last few years as well, with because many of our facilities obviously have swimming pools and there would be large energy users. So there's been a lot of challenges, but the increases in the number of facilities and obviously the increase in the number of members across our facilities is hugely encouraging, as people, definitely after COVID, people took more of an interest in their own health and getting out and getting physically active. And that's what we've tried to replicate here in Athlone, not just indoors, but also outdoors as well.
Yeah, and we're going to touch on the Athlone Regional Sports Centre that you're over shortly. Just to wrap up our chat about Ireland Active and your time there, based on your experience, let's cast forward for a second. If I were to ask you, what's the single most important step for the sector, the health and leisure and fitness sector in this country? What does it need more than anything to improve what can be provided to the people of Ireland?
I think there's a number. The education side is important. So the more people that are doing the various courses in third level, that they're coming out and working in the industry, so that we're able to give their expertise to our customers coming in through the door. I suppose what else is needed? I suppose more and more facilities, both in urban and in rural areas, because it's to encourage people to get physically active and to fit that into their lifestyle. And not just, I'm talking across all ages, and getting into schools. And at that stage, I suppose, when you're getting into schools, it's doing the basics and getting them used to having fun while participating in exercise. And the fun is the big part of it, being it it's a social thing. It's enjoying being active together, whether that's indoors or outdoors. And it's encouraging that message. And I suppose when you're in the school side of it, a lot of focus is on team games, but also there needs to be a focus on, I suppose, individual fitness and being active as opposed to fitness at a young age. Being active is very, very important. And then you have to look at the different age groups then that fall away from sports and focusing in on them, so that we're making sure that people are conscious of exercise as part of their weekly routine, not just from a physical point of view, but from a mental point of view as well.
Yeah, and that speaks to the campaign of stopping the drop and trying to keep, as you say, certain demographics, age groups and groupings of people involved in being active from an early age right through to adulthood, because we know if these things can bed in when people are young and get through the adolescent phase, then people do tend to, I suppose, hang on to those habits through their 20s, 30s and beyond. You mentioned the importance of, I suppose, enjoying your physical activity, and that brings us on to talking about the Athlone Regional Sports Centre and what it provides for. Maybe, I think there's a good blueprint on a regional basis for investing in these centres and creating new ones, considering what's on offer in Athlone. I'm going to, off the top of my head, reel off what I've seen there over the course of the last few visits, and what I've missed, then Liam, you can fill in the blanks. This place has got a top-class hockey pitch, a playground, a skate park, a gym, a swimming pool. There's a huge amount on offer at the Regional Sports Centre. Talk us through what exactly it can provide for, because it really is not just a kind of an exercise hub or a fitness hub, but it's a social hub as well. There's everything from families, teams from other counties. Everyone tends to converge on this spot.
What we're trying to do is that people of all ages and families can come up to the centre, and there's something there for everybody to do. And that can be something outdoors or indoors, and a lot of the amenities are free to use. And I suppose we're unique in that every euro of profit we make goes back into the facility, so we can grow it and make it better for the community. So internally, we've very impressive. We've 800 square gym. It's 4 times bigger than it was 10 years ago. Brilliant equipment in it. We've fitness class studios with both virtual and instructor-led classes. We've a huge pool, the only 25-metre pool in the area. And one of the initiatives there is, if you remember, your kids under 15 go free. And that's important because we're trying to encourage children in swimming, but with the kids go free, it gets them in then into the gym as well, and into other programs that are also there that they can use. And outside then, we've really grown the amenities. Is what we've done. Obviously, we built the fitness park in 2020. That's now opened. We put in a 2.5 kilometre loop there, so that if you wanted to do 5 kilometres, you just do 2 laps of it. We put in the playground for the younger kids, the half basketball court, the full court is now just opened. So we've just opened a full-size basketball court. They're all free to use. The petanque area, picnic area. There's a climbing pyramid there, and the playground will be refurbishing in 2025. It's there now a number of years, so we're making that better. And then we've the skate park there as well. But what we notice with the walking loops and jogging loops then is we've now lit them, so they're now lit, so you can use them at evening time, night time, up until the centre closes there at 10 o'clock. So you can park, you can come in off the country roads and go for a walk or a jog with your friends, and you'll be safe in that the whole area is lit and it's safe to use, as opposed to doing it, I suppose, in the country or rural roads where I suppose it's more difficult, or maybe the risk is higher. So it's safer to come in and do that. And the whole thing then is just to keep adding in more and more facilities into the park, so that it's a facility that the public can use and have fun with. So as I said, the full-size basketball court is just opened this week now, and that's come from being seeing basketball, the popularity of it. We opened a half basketball court in 2020, and such was its popularity. We opened a smaller court, and now we've a full-size court there, and they're all free to use. So it's adding in, I suppose, more and more facilities for people. And the community have been brilliant, because the local Tidy Towns has helped us with the sensory garden. We've sensory equipment there. On top of that, then the local Tidy Towns have also put in some wildflower, etc. We've some the Family Resource Centre have helped us put in equipment. St Hilda's have put in stuff. So it's a real community vibe to the facility. And we've opened our coffee dock outside then, where people can have a cup of coffee after going for a walk, etc. So there's a right good community vibe to it. And the only paid facilities that you pay for outside then would be the hockey pitches or the five-a-side pitches. And again, they're very, very popular. And there's a really nice buzz about it. And now that it's lit, I suppose it gives people a sense of security there at night time, where there might be working during the day, they can come down here then and go for a walk. And it also adds into the vibrancy of what's happening inside, because we have fantastic gym and fitness classes and pool, and that's our next big project then, is to build on to the pool wetside area, and that's a project that we'll be hoping to get up and running in the next 18 months, and that will add more to, I suppose, what we're doing here in the sports centre.
Well, Liam, there's a huge amount going on by the sounds of it, and a huge amount to come. So the potential the Athlone Regional Sports Centre sounds fantastic. And I know from my own experience of seeing the place a few times now of a Saturday morning, the car parks are teeming, and you're already building a real destination in the Midlands for people who want to be active and I suppose be social at the same time. We'll just finish up by reiterating our congratulations to you for your special recognition award from the National Quality Standard Awards for your time with Ireland Active, and I think more pertinently, well done on your work in Athlone as well.
Thanks very much, David. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Another week of Health and Fitness is done, and all that's left for me to do is to thank you for joining me. Joe Cooney and Country Roads follows the news. Take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.